Hey everybody, welcome back to Avalon, episode 13. We're back again in this very commercial area, this sort of becoming the new central downtown place to be, I guess, in downtown Avalon. We're going to work a lot on the sort of lower levels and detailing that out. We're going to fill out all 5 of the sort of corners around this interchange. We're going to add in some more high rises. We're going to add in lots of details on the lower levels, and we're going to add in a lot of lighting. That was something we didn't even touch in the last episode. So starting off here, I wanted to add in some apartment buildings, and I kind of love these because they also have those little art galleries that I put in the front there, and I feel like it really adds a lot of personality to this side street. So we're going to have a lot of little complexes of apartments like this that sit underneath the highways in these areas, because I think that they really add a lot to the lower levels, but they also would sort of make sense to be there. You'd think that there'd be full advantage taken of all of these little pieces of space in areas like this. So these apartment buildings are really nice because they fit perfectly underneath the highways. So I'll use these quite a bit in other parts of the build as well. I also have a few of these little Japanese high-rises here and there, and they kind of fit in nicely between the roads, very, very tightly, but kind of cool how that works out. And then this is kind of funny actually. So these UK industrial units, and I just plopped one of them, but I'm going to put a lot more down behind the apartments. I've had these in almost every single collection from every single project I've ever done in City Skylines, and I don't use them very often. I don't really know why I still have them, honestly. They're kind of older assets, but anyway, they seem like the perfect fit for sitting behind these apartments and underneath the highway, because I'm going to have big high-rises coming right up against the highway anyway, so I wanted to have something on the lower level that would kind of fit in and go along this road back here. What I did not know about these buildings, despite having them in my collection for however many years at this point, is that they are industrial buildings. So what that means is they produce ground pollution, and I did not know that. So when I put these things down, I put them down, and then I kept detailing, and I went through half of this episode, and then I came back and I just looked at the roads, and we had 100 ambulances just trying to all cram into all of these buildings and get all these sick people. We had a sick person crisis, and I thought we didn't have enough hospitals or health clinics or whatever, and I was trying to figure this out. I kept adding more, and our capacity was fine, and I didn't understand why there are so many sick people. And then I looked at the info panel for pollution, and sure enough, these buildings are creating ground pollution and making everybody sick. So I had to go back and delete them after already plopping down all these high rises, and it was a total nightmare. So yeah, little word of advice, I guess. Make sure that if you're putting down any industrial buildings, almost all of them are going to produce pollution at some point. So definitely look at that before you do this. I was not even paying attention, and that kind of sucked. But anyway, all of that aside, we're going to keep going here with the lower levels. I found some of these nice little food trucks that I felt kind of added a bit to this area, the atmosphere, and I really wanted to create a nice atmosphere around here. I guess when I say nice, I don't really mean actually nice. You can see I'm putting a lot of as I put down all these trash props and whatnot, but nice in the sense that it's very detailed and has a lot of personality. So we got all these little food trucks, and I'm adding this storage kind of area underneath these highways. This really just didn't feel like an area that could have any buildings underneath it anyway, so I figured that just having some old supplies and some truck trailers and trailer holding things, I don't know what you call those, they're trailers, but there's no actual trailer on them. I don't even know, but all this stuff, kind of sitting underneath and utilizing the space for something at least, but it didn't feel like we could really fit anything else underneath those highways, so went ahead and did that. And then I think we're finally at the part of the episode where we're going to start working again on lots of the advertising and the the billboards and whatnot. So again, using these really awesome iron, I think they're supposed to be supports for well, they are a custom asset. I thought for the longest time that they were vanilla because I've had them for literally forever, but I think they're intended for either highways or railways or something, but they look kind of like they're double-decker oriented. I don't really know, but regardless, they fit perfectly as billboard supports. So if you kind of like sink them into buildings, then they really do look like they're designed to have billboards placed on them. So we're going to use that quite a bit in different areas. Pretty much every single building in this whole little plaza is going to need to have some sort of billboard and advertising stuff going on. So we're going to use that quite a bit in this area. Now, the next big key component in this build is this bridge. It's sitting right on top of the road, and it's kind of like the second half of this staggered two-layer sort of thing going on between all the buildings. And to really bring this whole thing to life, we need to not only have high detail in the lower areas underneath this big bridge, but we also need to have the bridge itself looking nice. So you can see we're going to use the same technique we used in what is it, episode 9 or something, 2 episodes ago, or episode 10, I think. Wait, that's not 2 episodes ago. Episode 11 with the bridge. There you go. In episode 11, we did this big blue bridge. This like, I think it was not a highway. It was like a railway. But I'm gonna use this same technique. We're gonna use these little, well, they're supposed to be runway lights, I guess, but they fit nicely as little detail lights. So we'll use that along the bridge here, and then add these little sound barriers, and which are more just kind of for decoration than anything. They're not really actually doing anything, but throw these in up here. And then what I want to do is kind of continue these lights in different areas, different key parts of the city. So while it does look a little bit odd right now, just wait till the end of the episode. We're going to have some more lighting going on around the actual interchange itself, and it'll make this whole area feel like it's nice and clean, well lit, and you know, I don't know, I think it kind of integrates everything nicely. So we'll have that going on later on. But in the meantime, we're going to jump into some lighting around here. This is another very key component in making this big commercial area look nice. I imagine that lighting is just kind of the easiest way to make an area stand out, especially at night, because when you zoom out on the city and you look down, you've got these really bright areas full of billboards and lighting and everything, and it really does bring the place to life. So we'll be using these quite a bit in different areas, and also kind of utilizing these catwalks to make it seem as if there is like a structure in place to hold the lights and all that good stuff. So I did have to raise some lights up really high up to get them up to these upper areas, but I thought that even up here at the top, it made sense to have some lights kind of pointing upward that from a distance looked really, really nice. So I thought that was a nice little touch there. And kind of finishing off that area there. I believe we're going to also get across the street at some point and work on those areas as well. So we should get, like I said, pretty much the entire surrounding blocks done around this interchange in this episode. Now this part was pretty cool, actually. I'm going to cut most of it because it took like forever to actually do it, but I decided to use the same lighting technique along these exit ramps for this little interchange over here. And the way I did it is I used like the full density of lights in a couple of the key exit ramps that are kind of overarching on everything, and then I kind of did like a different pattern for the other ramps, the ramps going underneath, and then as they get lower they have like more sparse placement, and it kind of worked really well, I think. Let me know what you think down below. Actually, I'm really curious if you think that this is a cool idea, or if you think that it's kind of just taking lighting too far. But in my opinion, all the all the blue glow around here is very nice. I think it adds a lot to this area. So let me know what you think down below. I'm really curious, actually. I think it was kind of an odd idea. I don't know if it's like if it's nice looking or if it looks a bit like tacky, but I think it looks really cool. So I think I'm going to stick with it, at least for now, unless there's like some overwhelming disagreement in the comments or something. I don't really know. It seems like you guys like the other bridge quite a bit, so I don't really know. But anyway, you can see it really coming together now, and I'm going to add some more lighting on the other side of these other buildings over here. But the real reason why I wanted to get all these lights in here is when you look at it from the side, there's like this cool blue haze around this whole intersection, and I kind of love that. Like, I think that's a really cool addition to this, especially whenever there's snow and there's like fog. It just looks like awesome. So that was sort of the idea behind all this. It also looks quite a bit like Tron to me. I don't know. I definitely have that Tron sort of aesthetic going on with this, I think. But We also needed some real lights over here. That was one thing that I struggled with. These lights look cool, but they are certainly not lighting up the street very well, and I didn't want to distract from the cool lighting with like big bright white lights, so I used these nice dim lights to kind of fix that issue and not cause any more issues beyond that. So that's what we did there. Now, going back to these apartments, we're going to use these again along the lower areas underneath this highway over here, and I think they look really nice. I think I'm going to keep using these in quite a few other parts of the city. They're just like the exact perfect height, and they've got a lot of detail to them. They've got a lot of dynamic shaping, and they're not, I don't think they're too high poly, but they have plenty of geometry in the front to make them look nice. So I'll use that quite a bit in future parts of the build. I'm going to try my best to kind of detail out some of these areas that are on the outskirts of what we're working on right now, but again, I'm trying not to get too carried away and finish off areas that we're already working on before adding in new parts, so I don't want to get too carried away here, but just going with some simple stuff here for now, and once we actually build out in these other blocks, then we'll come back and finish these areas off a little bit better. But the nice thing about this is once we put all these buildings down over here, we're pretty much right up to the other side of this block that was already done. So by doing this, we're pretty much finishing off all of these inner blocks, which was a very satisfying feeling. I was looking forward to finally having all of that done. Now, this little corner block over here was kind of interesting. It's very tight in the area coming up on the highway, all the exit ramps and whatnot. So it was kind of tough to find buildings that fit nicely. You can see I'm going to play around with some different ones here and there. I do like the idea of having some apartments that have a nice view of this whole complex, this whole plaza area with all the advertising and whatnot. And of course, using some of these smaller high-rises to kind of fill out the lower space and add some nice details around here. This whole complex really came together super nicely. I didn't really have to fuss too much with anything. It just kind of like all came together as I built it. So that was very nice. That doesn't always happen. A lot of times I have to delete stuff and start over, but with this one, I hardly did any editing. It just was like back to back, like plopping things down, and I was like, wow, this is looking good, and I just kept going, and everything just kind of turned out nicely. So that was a nice little change of pace from the usual thing that happens whenever here's all of the ambulances now. I think I just completely cut out all of my, well, I've got a little bit. I think at first I was like, okay, it's noise pollution. I was even going as far as to like, should I get a mod to like get rid of noise pollution? Is that the issue? But I didn't notice any noise complaints, just sickness, and I was like, what the heck is going on? But I think I cut out the area where I actually figured out what was going on and deleted all that stuff. But yeah, that was super annoying. I'm glad that that's all figured out now. Hopefully we don't have more issues. I think that it was just the ground pollution that was causing issues. I haven't had any problems with noise pollution, surprisingly, because this whole area is like max noise pollution. So really at this point, like I don't know. I think that I get noise complaints sometimes, but I have enough hospitals to sort of prevent any actual sickness from happening, but I'm not really sure. I don't know, something along those lines is happening, but it seems to be okay, so I won't worry too much about it right now. Adding in some final touches here. I wanted to get some metro lines going along in this direction as well. I'm going to be doing a lot of work on the transportation lines very soon here. I know I got a lot of comments in the last episode. People were asking for a full dedicated episode to transit lines, so don't worry. That's going to come at some point, not right now, but very soon. And again, we're going to have to get a little creative with how we actually do it because, like I mentioned, I get like 5 FPS in this area, so it would not be very fun to watch live, I would imagine. But anyway, we are right at the end of this episode, so I hope you all enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think of the big glowing blue interchange. I'm pretty happy with it, actually. I think it looked pretty good whenever I finished it, so I'm not really complaining. I think it's a nice touch, but I do know it's a little out there. I want to sort of continue with that out there sort of theme and have like glowing neon signs and whatnot as we continue on with this build, but that'll all come later, so let's not even worry about that right now. For now, we're done today. Hope you all enjoyed. Come back next Saturday for episode 14, and as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.